The maintain stage focuses on quality assurance and control. You must validate your processes to ensure errors are eliminated and corruption of the collection does not occur. You must document your procedures as well as changes to the procedures over time, and document the results of quality control audits. A well-designed quality control process can be used as a tool to further increase the confidence level of current or prospective users of your archive. The maintain phase also addresses the support of your digital preservation efforts and systems. Since it is impossible for you to be everywhere at all times, one way to extend your service and support offering is through the development of departmental coordinators. This is not a new position, but leverages existing positions within departments that act as the liaison between the department and your program. They can take on a variety of responsibilities, including the identification and transfer of records to your area, among other needs. Who is tasked with supporting your technology infrastructure? Who do you call when something goes wrong? A common acronym used in the IT environment is an SLA, or Service Level Agreement. You should develop an SLA that defines what is the level of service you should expect from IT in supporting your work. What is the expected response time to your calls? What will they support and what won't they support? It is key that all of these details are spelled out and that no assumptions are made by either party. As part of the access phase, you must define who has access and when access is permitted to the collection. You must also define how access to the collection will occur. Will remote access be allowed, or will access only happen when the individual is on site? What application or applications are allowed to view the files? It is a good idea that access is only permitted to a copy of the file and not the master version of the file to reduce potential damage or harm to the digital file. Defining the physical security that needs to be in place to ensure only authorized personnel gain access to the collection is another area of consideration. This must include a formal sign-in, sign-out log, as is the case with any collection. A solid monitoring program is needed to track who accessed the repository and what was accessed to protect and identify any potential changes that are discovered along the way. The other high-level strategy to follow is the development of a marketing strategy. A marketing strategy is needed to create greater awareness of your preservation needs among your community. This includes educating senior administration, users, legal counsel, risk management, and others. You must continuously garner senior-level administration support for your program. With budgets being tight and other priorities always rising up, it is critical that you keep the importance of preservation in the forefront of key individuals within your institution. You have to ensure the continuing support of your infrastructure, including financial, IT, and the archive staff, and it is important to keep that momentum going that you started. But first, you need to know your audience. What are their needs, and what specific departments have electronic records needing preservation? Are departments aware of the issues involved and the particular complexities and risks that may be involved trying to preserve their electronic records? Trust is a key area. Do departments believe that you have the expertise to protect their files better than they do? Obviously, we will run into people who would rather not change the way they do things currently. If they are comfortable with how they are doing things now, for right or wrong, why should they change? You may hear comments such as, "Hey, these are my files, and I don't want to share them," even though they may rightfully belong to the institution. Maybe they believe their own process or system is all they need. They may not be aware of the issues with their current processes, or they don't care. They may believe there is nothing wrong with what they are doing now. So how do you handle these situations? Some administrators may take the "just do it" approach and force people to make the change. This may result in change or a situation where the user says they changed, but not really. Or you can say, hey, this department is on board with our new process, so why aren't you? And hopefully guilt them or otherwise influence them enough to change. Another approach is the rah-rah approach, and to do it for the good of the institution, which may or may not work. There can be at least 3 potential reactions to a change in a process. The early adopters will already know the issues and may already be on board. The bystanders will hold off and wait to see how things work with others before committing. Often they will be willing to change if early adopters believe the program has benefited them. Resistors, well, are obviously the hardest to change. They can be defensive, thinking that their methods are just fine and they don't want to change. Others may just be very busy and cannot lend the time to think about the issues since they are wrapped up in their day-to-day activities of their work. These other priorities are garnering their attention, and they are not worried about preserving electronic records since it is not a present-day issue for them, at least right now. Generally, there are 3 strategies to address change. Power, which can force users to change. Think of this as a senior administrator telling someone to change or else. The rational approach provides a compelling reason by using logic as a basis for changing behavior, such as providing improved protection of your files, or more flexible access to them, or some other reason the new arrangement may provide greater benefits. There's also the emotional approach, leveraging leadership and personal values to get the buy-in needed, appealing to the need to fit in, or removing the risk they could face to encourage a change. Also, using the informal influence from peers or others in the institution to facilitate a change could be used. Some strategies to consider to facilitate change should be different depending on the individuals involved. The early adopters, while they may be already on board, should receive recognition and know you and others appreciate their efforts and that they are part of the program. You may want to consider giving them a small reward or token of your appreciation, thanking them for their support. They can be great role models that can be leveraged to influence other areas that may be a little more hesitant. The bystanders need an inducement to change. They want to see others go first. You need to provide a consistent message about the program so they hear the same thing, and not get the feeling you're just a startup program or a program in flux. Stability is the key. You need to enable change for them and remove any potential barriers or perceived barriers for them. Also, it is important not to allow easy escapes or alternatives to the bystanders. It just gives them more reason to not do anything. And then there are the resistors. Sometime, but not all, you may need to take a line from the Star Trek series to address the strongest resistors. Resistance is futile, so get on board. You may want to think of some strategies that squarely put the risk or acceptance of the risk in their court. Require a sign-off that they are accepting the responsibility to protect their own files. Send a memo stating they agree to assume all risks and carbon copy senior administrators and see what happens. Sometimes this may get them to come away from the dark side. In any case, you should address the early adopters and bystanders first before the resistors. Get some quick wins and role models to show the resistors when you are ready to tackle them. Have you ever had a department or person that was difficult to get on board with your program? How did you handle that situation? Think back for a minute and note what worked for you and may not have worked for you. Learn from these experiences since you'll probably run into more of them in the future. This concludes Section 5. You are encouraged to continue on to Section 7 of this webinar on preserving electronic records in colleges and universities, where we'll discuss ways to avoid damage or loss to your electronic records.